Good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. You know, the story of time is that it doesn't wait for anything or anyone and just continues to move along. And believe it or not, tomorrow morning, many of those whose family members were killed in the horrific stampede in Meron will be getting up from Shiva. They were killed on Thursday night, crushed to death, 45 of them, and many of them were buried on Friday, which will have their families stand up from the 7 day mourning period on Thursday morning. And there's so much to speak about each one of these 45 remarkable human beings who were innocent and weren't involved in the decision making, if there should be, if there shouldn't be, if the steps should be closed or if not, or where people should stand. They were just crushed because they wanted to be in a spiritual place at a spiritual time. In fact, one of our dear friends from who visits us often was actually in Meron and was literally in the building, in the kitchen, overwatching and helped pull the bodies. And what a terrible tragedy. Each one of them deserves to be spoken about and to be remembered. If it's the father who buried two sons, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, if it's the singer who came from Canada and flew in specially to sing at Meron and was buried on Friday without his family or anyone he knows in Israel. And when they asked people to come and they announced, please come to his funeral, hundreds of people came. And there's so much to be said about each soul and each individual. But something really moved me because at the end of the day, the Rebbe always taught us that that those who survive and live and watch a tragedy like this have to take things to heart and become better people. One of the people who passed away was a man named Shimon Matlon. Shimon Matlon was a 37-year-old teacher in Beitar Elite that went to the Chabad there. He was a father of 11 children. And he was named after Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, the great sage who passed away on Lag BaOmer. And he went every year to Meron on this special day. And unfortunately, on Thursday night, he went to Meron and he was crushed to death and passed away. But something remarkable happened that I think we can all learn from. The day on Lag BaOmer, on Thursday evening before he went to Meron, he gave a note to his friend. And he asked him not to open it till after Shabbat. And this is reported in the Israeli news. And the note is available, the authentic note, which I'll post in the comments. But when his friend opened up the note after the passing of Shimon, these are the words that he read. And they were written in Hebrew, but loosely translated into English. I want you to listen to these words because I think they're important for each and every one of us to hear. And it said like this: instead of being filled with disappointment, accept everything with love. Instead of being rigid, be flexible. Instead of complaining, let your mind be in control. Instead of harping, be more grateful. Instead of seeing problems, filter out negativity. Instead of drowning in water, know it's all from God. Instead of blaming everyone, remember who is the greatest of all. Instead of getting angry, take a deep breath and stretch. Instead of being upset, exercise your faith. Instead of choosing darkness, choose the full half of the glass. Instead of sinking into despair, remember that everything is a test from God who saves, because at the end, God decides what's going to happen. But you decide what your attitude will be. And when I read these words, and the man writing this without knowing that this was his last note to write and that he was going to pass, I thought it's so important for us. Life is so fragile. All these people went to Meron thinking that they would be back another year and another day, but they never made it. None of us know when our last day is, and none of us know what will happen tomorrow. But as we say in the end of grace after meals, Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach BaHashem V'Haya Hashem Yiftachoi. Blessed is the man who puts his trust in God, and God becomes his beacon, his rock of trust. And the reason is because when we realize that ultimately not everything is in our control and we don't know what's going to happen, it allows us to be at calm and be at peace and be able to do the things we love most and are more important. So I beg you, this note shouldn't be written in vain. We should all take it to heart and become better human beings. And may the soul of Shimon Matlon and all the other 44 who passed away be bound in the bond of life and be beseechers for all of us that God end this bitter exile and wipe away all tears from everyone. God bless you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.